Hey guys, this is Nick coming to you with another Infinity Kingdom video. This one is going to continue our skill tier list. We're going to talk about the epic, so the gold skills that are unlocked through tokens. So when you look at the Tower of Knowledge, you have a few skills that have this requirements, which is tokens. They're different than the purple violet, right? So if you look at skills that are unlocked through purple violet, you just need to pay an amount of purple dust and it will unlock the skill. So example here, I click it and it's going to unlock and then I can max it using the same currency. However, when you look at these skills, to unlock them, it's not 20k purple, it's 60 tokens. So before we get started on the tier list, we're gonna quickly look at how you can obtain these tokens. The best way is by using Cinder, right? It's in the wish shop. To get Cinder, you have two ways. First, you can do the Wishing Well event, which every coins is giving you an amount of Cinder. But for free to play, low spender, the best way is going to be the KVK shop. What you can do is you can buy a skill that you might not need ever. You buy it and then you sell it 1-for-1. So basically the conversion is 1-for-1. You're not going to lose anything. So example, Berserker, if I don't need the skill, I could sell all of my tokens. It's giving me 17 Wishing Cinder. And then I can go into the shop and I can buy the skill that I would like. As you can see, 1-for-1. So one token costs 17. You can sell it for 17 as well. Now, before we get started, I want to warn you when it comes to the KVK shop. You have to be careful for two reasons. First, once you bought up all the skill in this shop, at least until they add new skills, you're pretty maxed out because you cannot buy it multiple times. So example, this skill, I already bought it. I wouldn't be able to buy it again because I already purchased it. So you are limited on the amount of tokens that you can get from this shop. Two, the second reason you need to be careful on is example Storm Eyes. If you buy it, you sell the tokens, and at some point later on, you would like to unlock Storm Eye, the cost would become higher. Instead of 17 Cinder, it's now 30 Cinder per tokens. So you have to be careful on which skill you are going to get and melt into tokens or Cinder to take your tokens. But this is how you do it, right? You do your KVK, you get KVK coins, you buy a skill token in the KVK shop, and then you come into your item, you sell it, and once you sell it 1-for-1, you're going to be able to go into the shop and buy what you need. Now, we're going to get started with the list. Because there are a lot of skills that are unlocked through tokens, what I'm going to do is I'm going to separate the skills by the level. So we're going to do 0 to 45 first, and then we're going to do 45 to the end second. It's around 20 skill each. We're going to go very quickly on each of the skills. I don't want to spend too much time on it to make the video too long. What we're going to do is if you have any question, anything to ask about the specific skills, ask in the comment and I'll reply in the comment. If I see that there are some skills that needs more time, people are asking about it often, I'm going to do a separate video on those skills. Take more time on why I think it's in this tier, why I think it's good or bad. But for now, let's get started with the tier list itself. So here's the tier list. As you can see, I already placed them. And again, this is only the skill from level 0 to 45 because I don't want the video to be too long. And also for the same reason, we're not going to look at all the skills. We're going to just give one reason why each skill is in this tier, but we're not going to look in depth in each of them. We're only going to look really at S and A tier, because I strongly believe for free to play and low spender, which are limited on the amount of skill they should get, should focus on these two tier. So first, you have overpower and implosion. The reason why these skills are in the D tier, I don't think you should get them. Um, they're not giving you the effectiveness on the immortal that you want. For overpower, it's passive, only works on the one holding it. Not good. Implosion, critical damage plus normal attack mechanics. You don't really have an immortal at the moment that works with both at the same time. Fear of domination. If you look at the skill, the health threshold is at 50%. 50% is very low. Most of the threshold when it comes to this health for skill, if you look at other option, they are at around 70%. And I strongly believe by the time you're at 50% or the enemy is at 50%, most likely the match is already decided. Either you won or you lost the match by then. Spear and Pale, low damage, a little bit of utility with the physical damage increase to the person in front of whoever is holding the skill, but it's not the best skill when it comes to solo carry. It can work okay if it's a Alex slash can carry march. You use your Alex a little bit more as utility. You can put that on your Alex, but I still don't think it's the best option. Storm Eyes, the damage is very low and it's geared towards increasing that damage if the enemy is rooted. There are not a lot of root skill at the moment, so you cannot get the full value of Storm Eyes most of the time, and the damage is low. That's why it's the C tier. A little bit of the same with Desire of Life, although there's a lot of anti-healing, so it will get the max value out of the skill. The skill is only at 150%, so it's very low damage. It's not the best skill in the game. Void Realm is a grace. The reason why it's B tier is a very, very niche. You have to be very, very careful which skill you pair it with. If you have skill that goes off right from the start, Void Realm will cancel that utility from that skill. And the only really good skill it works with is, example, Demonic Contract, Battle Stance, a Blade Dodge. But these skills have lost a little bit of value because the matches goes very quickly when it comes to PvP. And because this Void Realm skill is niche and a little bit hard to pair along other skill, I left it in the B tier. Snipe, I don't think it's the best skill when it comes to archer damage skill anymore. The good thing about it is that the damage is increased early, right from the start, because it's geared towards when the immortal or the team is above 50%. So you get the max value right from the start, which is good. But overall, damage is a little bit low. I think there are better skill for archer. Full coverage, I think it's still a decent skill for immortal like Hippo, Tutan, but it's very niche to immortal that have skills that trigger multiple times. And even for them, if you're using them as solo carry in your team, I think there are so many better skills when it comes to damage. This is why I left it in the B tier. Jade Barrier used to be very, very good to counter infinite power. Still very good to counter infinite power, but a lot of the teams switched to energy mastery when it comes to red skill or burst damage. So Jade Barrier, it's also a passive, only works on the immortal that is holding it. Lost some effectiveness of value, so I left it in the B tier. Now, Demonic Contract. The reason I think Demonic Contract still holds decent value at A tier is although it's not the best skill for PvP in my opinion, because the meta is very bursty, you don't have time to ramp up that skill long enough to get the max value. By the time it gets the max value, most likely you already lost the match. So I don't think it's best for PvP. It's still very good against non-boss and elemental domain boss because those battles usually last longer. Victorious Pursuit, a little bit the same thing than Demonic Contract. This is a skill that can stack up multiple times. Let's take a quick look. So because this skill can stack 10 times, it becomes very niche to same thing with full coverage to immortal that stack it very quickly. So Hippo, Saladin, and also Tutan, but that makes it very niche. Because it's only 4 seconds, you need to stack it 10 times to get the max value. Immortal like Himiko or Khan will not get the full value until later in the game if they don't get CC'd or anything like that. And because of that, I don't think you're going to get to that point in the current meta. It is not the best skill when it comes to damage, in my opinion, at the moment. Then you have Toxin Barrier. Toxin Barrier is still a decent skill to counter normal attack Immortal, but because the meta switched to Alex in the tank more than Alex in Hannibal, and also because the meta is a lot more on AoE damage than normal attack, Toxin Barrier lost some value. I left it in the A tier. I do think it's almost B tier. It becomes a lot more niche nowadays. But because there's still a lot of Alex March, it can be used to try and counter him if he is geared to our normal attack. Purification, I think it's still a very, very good skill. It goes off every 3 seconds, which is really good. The healing on it is not high. I believe it's around 160. Let's take a quick look. Purification. Where is it? Oh, okay. So yeah, every 3 seconds, 160. What is no longer why it's no longer one of the best skill? It's because it no longer is counter weakening curse. When it was countering weakening curse, this skill was a must get, a S tier for sure. Now it becomes a little bit more niche, and the healing is a little bit low, even though it's every 3 seconds. So for me, it fell from S to A tier. Still a very good skill. I still really like it, but it's no longer S tier. Berserker, the reason why I don't think it's S tier anymore, I think they're a better skill when it comes to Alex and Hannibal. You don't want your Alex and your Hannibal to be geared solely under normal attack. It becomes very easier to counter you with Toxin Bear and putting a tank in front of you. And because of that, I don't think it's the best kill. Now, why did I leave it in A tier? It's for players that have a little bit more spending value. An example, if they get a skill like knife through butter or fully prepared, it gives them more damage because these two skills are geared towards normal attacks. I do think Berserker gain a little bit more value because of those. Um, I left it in the A tier. I think it becomes a little bit more niche, and you do not want to be focusing on normal attack most of the time on your Alex. It's borderline B tier, in my opinion, as well. Spell Disintegrator, I think it's A tier, but again, borderline B tier as well. I think all the skill in the A tier, maybe except Purification, are between the line of A and B, in my opinion. If you look at this spell disintegration, the reason why it's not the best is because the damage is actually low. Although it's every 3 seconds, which is really, really good, it only hits 3 in Immortal and the chance is 50%, which is also quite low. What is really good about the skill is they reduce magical defense. But if you're using a solo carry magical damage Immortal, such as example Himiko or Blue, it's not the best skill because you want as much damage as possible on your carry. So they are a better skill when it comes to magical team. This is why I'm leaving it in A tier if you're limited on your option. If you're not that limited on your option, I think it fell to the B tier. However, these three skills are still very, very good. Now, I think Vitality, Touch, and Blade Vortex, I put them in the S tier. I think when you look at all these skills, these three are probably the best to get. But I do think, again, Blade Vortex and Vitality Touch are almost A tier. Why? If you look at Vitality Touch, the healing at 400% is really good. It's every 6 seconds, not bad. It's decent. What is really good as well is that it will increase the physical and magical defense of the Immortal by 10%, and this is 18 seconds. This is why it's still very good. But because there's so many Quinn, and Can March in the current meta, you lose a lot of effectiveness with a skill like that. If you're using it against these two Immortal, you kind of need to be lucky when it goes off. If it goes off, however, it gives you healing and a good defense from the magical and physical damage. So I still think it's decent because there's too many counting Quinn. I do think it falls a little bit towards the 8th tier. If there's no counting Quinn, it's definitely S tier, which is why on the tier list I left it into the S tier for this video. Um, you'll see when I'll do the other video as well. It's going to be a bit of the same story, but when I'll put the list all together, I'm going to limit the number of S tier I have. The last one, however, Guard, I do think is S tier for sure. At this point, I don't even think it's niche for a Alex tank March. I think even double tank can use it. I explain why. First, let's take a look at why I think it's essential for all Alex March. So when you look at Guard, I think it's an essential skill for any marches that is a solo carry. So Alex, Ares, Poseidon, with a tank, you need your tank to have guard. It allows your team, your Alex, to have 3 damage skill or as many damage skill as possible and remain kind of tanky because your tank is going to soak a lot of the damage that Alex or your solo carry in the front line is going to receive. I really think it's also one of the reasons why the Hannibal Alex hybrid meta is no longer as good, it's because there are so many good supported skill that should or can only be held by tank. This can be held by anyone, however, it really should be held by a tank. There's so many good skill that needs to be on tank that this is why the Alex Hannibal fell off a little bit. And it's now a Alex and a tank. This skill is one of the reason, and it's I believe essential for these type of marches. This is why it is S tier. Second reason, even if you're running a double tank, I still think it holds value. Is it the best skill to put? It depends. It's not as essential, but it still can be held on a double tank. Why? You can put that on one of your tank with other skill that can you don't need to hold the whole duration of the fight. Example, we can incurse as soon as it go off at the start of the battle, and then one of the enemy immortal use a skill. They use their skill, it no longer useful. Even if that immortal die, the one with the guard, you get the value of the guard, and also we can incurse. Example, energy suppression, same thing, it's grace early only. But that will allow you to protect the other tank, which you can then put skills that you want to hold for the whole duration of the match, of the PvP battle. Example, energy shield, spring of life, fountain of life. So you want to put guard on one of the tank and put all the better skills that needs to be held for the whole duration of the battle on your other tank. So basically you're soaking damage for your other tank. So that is a way to use the skill even if you have a double tank meta. So that is why I do think guard is very much S tier nowadays even. And this is the tier list. I will come up with the other skills very soon, probably tomorrow. Stay in tune. Again, if you have a question about a specific skill, let me know. I'll either reply in the comment, or if I see there's too many questions about specific skills, I will come up with skills video as well. Thank you for watching, guys. Have a good day.